So we're gonna start the program and then head straight to the band. It's gonna be quick. And first, I would like to thank all of you for showing up today. On a Friday night, you could be anywhere else, but you are here on 2012 Aliciana Street. I'd like to thank Malik and Christopher for allowing us to be in this beautiful venue. There's a long story behind how Christopher found this space and built it, and how he found Malik, and how Malik supported him in building where we are tonight. So, I want to thank them. Next, I want to thank my big brother, who is going to bless your stomachs after the panel with some food. So please, before you eat, ask him what is in the food, because a lot of you had some of the weirdest allergies, and I don't want to be held liable to any allergic reactions tonight. So please, because there's suya, which has peanuts in it. So if you have any nut allergies, do not touch the suya. It smells good, but for you, it means death. I want to thank Vic, the bartender, Vic. Some of y'all think I got money. First of all, Malik and Christopher, they let this venue for the free. And clap it up. And the bartender, Vic, brought a lot of alcohol that he just had stashed.
That's
I
kind
don't have money, I just have a good rapport with some good people. Yeah. And that's a lot of what you need in this life to get around. And I want to also thank the videography crew, Jeffrey and Ben. They've been documenting just about all of my symposiums and events that I've had in the past couple of years. Jeffrey was one of my first friends when I first moved to Nigeria. So we got a long go way back. I also want to thank Lane. Lane, in his new clothing collection right now, is my classmate from Johns Hopkins University. I used to cut his hair while he was on the lacrosse team, and he would tell me how he was thinking about going into fashion, and he was thinking about going to Parsons School of Design. So it was just really good to see him, make that leap. Hopkins is a pretty good school, but a lot of kids that go there are programmed to just go straight into healthcare or consulting. And so when I saw Lane just in his path, set it ablaze, I went up to see him in New York, and I was like, bro, I need to bring you back here for Alumni Weekend. So I want to thank him. And everyone else here. I met Brad not too long ago. I told him about what I was trying to do, and he was on board. I saw Dara. She's very good with the fashion stuff, makes a lot of her things from scratch. Fellow Nigerian here in the DMV. And I wanted her to just come and showcase her stuff. I met Tasia last year at a WNADA meeting, the West North Avenue Development Authority, which is a new civic and political arm to help revitalize Pennsylvania Avenue, which a lot of us know Pennsylvania Avenue was the Black Wall Street of Baltimore. It was the Harlem of Baltimore. And the way it is now is not a reflection of the efforts, the livelihoods, the blood, sweat, and tears that our Black community has put into that area. And so I met her on that journey of, being around people that want to bring back, whether it's the jazz nights, the businesses, the fashion, just bring some of the things back to Pennsylvania Avenue. And I met, Malik recently too. So a lot of good cats here. There is a panelist that he has to leave because he's an older guy and he doesn't want to drive back to Laurel in the dark. That was Chester. Chester is the CEO of Lifton Labels. And I met Chester very, very recently. His company, they hire folks that are come out of jail to help them get employed and get engaged working on making fabrics for folks across the board. Chester also makes the stoles and some of the outfits for like ordained ministers of the church, and also women too, not just men. So just I've been able to meet a bunch of folks doing a lot of great work, and I want to have an event where we go back to what was in the 1920s. So right now, think you're in the jazz age. You know, this venue has a lot of old stuff. Because we forget the early technologies that it took to get here. First, we were riding in buggies that were pulled by a horse. And at some point in like 1904, that buggy that's pulled by a horse is now being powered by a steam engine, the age of automation. This is where the Harlem Renaissance, where Billie Holiday, Ethel Waters came, performed, Louis Armstrong dropped the hit single. I forget how it goes. It's like, it ain't but a thing if it ain't got that swing. You know what I'm talking about? But you know, without further ado, so first I would like the panelists just to introduce themselves. You know, just say your name, what you do, what's your role in the garment industry, and tell us why you're here. Like, what do you want folks to get from you, from what you do, and maybe any future, you know, plans you have to, like, whether it's growing your business, tapping into the community, working new styles and designs. Just talk to us real quick. So I'll let Stitch Lord the First kick us off.
Let's see, this way. Hello, my name is Brad, aka Stitch Lord. Stitch Lord the First is my Instagram handle. I'm a redesigner. If I can see it, I can sew it. I operate on site. I learned the technical skills in the sewing factory, and the creativity come from a family of artists. And most of my endeavors are in supporting each other economically. And I'll give you a fun fact that the Harlem Renaissance and the Great Depression happened at the exact same time. The exact same time we found a way to be great. And you know, the time we're in is a time for us to be great, and is a great opportunity through textiles, through expression. But I like this event, and I agreed to it because I do turn down certain events because of the formal aspect. A lot of people have been very focused on comfort, or on the other end, they're shopping at Temu and Shein and all those cheaper brands that aren't even properly constructing clothing, to the point I won't even alter them no more because they aren't made properly. So I have fashion shows once a month. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm all over the city, everywhere. Wacomico Street. I work at Open Works, Station North Tool Library. I volunteer sewing, teaching sewing at senior centers. So when it comes to fashion, the fiber artists, etc., I'm one of the people to see in Baltimore, and I appreciate Chijoki for inviting me. I appreciate Christopher Schaefer. Man, I've had a good conversation, so we'll be having a lot of events moving forward. But I like style. I like being different, and the best way of expressing that is through clothing. You can just see it, and you know what's going on with the person. So I appreciate you joking. I appreciate y'all for showing up. Again, Stitch Lord the First. You can follow me on Instagram to see. I do everything. I don't know. It's not too much I don't do. Anyone that knows me know I'm all over the city at any point in time. You never know where I'm at or what I'm doing, but it's all related to fashion and building up the community. And I'm not a gatekeeper as well. If there's any information or knowledge that I have, any grants that I know are available, I've gotten people into that are artists that wanted studios. I've got them into studios, spaces, events. I'm not a gatekeeper. So any information I have, I share it openly to build each other up, because that's what it's about. It's not about blocking people out. If we all try to do everything by ourselves, we're not going to go as far. You go farther together, and that's what I believe. So any conversation I have is, what can I give to you? Because I know I'm going to get something out of it. So thank y'all, and pass to the next person.
Hey everyone, I'm Dara. I'm a stylist and a designer, and also I'm the co-owner of N17 Vintage. So I'm really just here to meet new people, connect with people. I've been designing this past 2 years, just creating items from scratch and also reworking items. I mostly work with vintage clothing and source them. I'm really just here to meet people, really just grow. You know, I'm new to the fashion world, so I'm just looking to like meet new people and gain more opportunities and network. I'm just grateful to be here.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, because I talk really quiet, so just had to check. So my name is Tasia. I would say at this juncture, I'm probably multi-hyphenate. So half the time I work in digital marketing, helping, my passion is to help fashion-based brands evangelize not only their message, because I really have a soft spot for sustainable, human-focused brands, but also monetize and sell their products. A lot of small businesses have a hard time, especially with e-com. Everybody thinks like, oh, if I jump online, it's gonna be so easy to sell, and it's like really hard. So I like breaking down that barrier, helping people to create stories so people can connect with their brands. And then on the other side of life, I am getting into opening spaces for these makers. So I'm in the process of opening two spaces on Baltimore Street. The first space is pretty small, probably half the size of this, but we'll be recruiting over the spring and summer makers who can vend in the store, don't have to worry about overhead, can get some help with business advice. And later in the year, I got approached to open a bigger space. So it'll be a lot like Savage Mills, but it'll be right here in Baltimore, again on Baltimore Street. I'm really excited about that project because like Chijoke said, last year I was the one at the One Item meeting like, y'all treat artists like shit. Y'all pretend like we don't know nothing, like we don't deserve money too, like we need funding, we need a seat at the table in terms of government advocacy. And so I was one of those people who was like, okay, y'all not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm working on a political campaign, talking to a delegate, like this is what artists need. And I'm just excited to be here and share more about how we can all become more activated and get more equity in the city.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lane Odom. I'm a product developer. I'm also trained in design, and I'm a decent pattern maker. I am currently working on building a brand / like a design studio. That is one focused on creating original product, but also providing design and production services for brands, designers, and people who are interested in producing their own ideas around ready to wear. The goal of the brand all around, we're kind of exploring this idea of what does like the evolving American heritage look like in 2026 and beyond. With the US being a bit of a young country compared to, and I say that because when I got into design, I was really into what we deem luxury or heritage brands like the Dior's, the Balenciagas, or the Louis Vuittons. And those became such big brands because of where they started, which they really just started with one guy creating something pretty special for his constituents or his community that needed it. And so that's where I kind of fell into design, and that's where I kind of fell into the word of heritage. Thinking about those brands as heritage that are now the kind of these larger than life brands. And so that's kind of my focus on within design, exploring how we redefine the American heritage moving forward, especially in a country where there's been a gross misrepresentation or lack of representation in a lot of spaces for Black and brown folks. So it's a bit about me.
Hello. How y'all doing today? Pretty sure I met a good couple of y'all walking around before we came up here, but I'm Malik Minor. I am the manager here at Christopher Schaefer Clothier. We design custom suiting, anything menswear, shirts, ties, anything you can think of. We carry shoes from all over, pocket squares from all over. But what I'm working on right now, outside of making beautiful custom menswear, I have a networking group called the Baltimore Fashion Alliance, where I'm putting together people like these beautiful people here and a lot of these beautiful people in the room to get people connected, talking about what they're working on, and getting everyone who's working in the fashion industry connected with one another. So if anyone has questions about that, either during the panel or after we finish up, you can come find me. But I started Baltimore Fashion Alliance as something to bring the fashion industry together. I've been in Baltimore my entire life. I've been in this fashion industry for 14 years, And I found that so many people are always starting over because they never get the right base, they never get the right network to get that push forward when they're moving forward in the fashion industry. So I decided I'm going to restart something that already was, which was Baltimore Fashion Alliance, that started 15 years ago as a part of this business. I started that over again just last month, just so we can get that networking, get that community built again, and see if we can get that legislation passed, see if we can get the people with the power talking to the people with the minds to get everyone working together and building something and building Baltimore's fashion industry into what New York was able to build. I look at Baltimore how people looked at Brooklyn 30 years ago. If you look at it that way, you can see the bones of a really budding, but not only fashion, but creative industry. We have a huge art scene, a huge fashion scene, but not everybody knows each other. So I'm trying to make sure that we can change that over the next couple of years. If we can look at us 10 years from now and we'll look at events like this and be like, man, I was here, and now 10 years from now, look at what we've been able to build. That's what I'm trying to do, and that's what it sounds like everyone else here is trying to do. So I'm happy everyone's here. Let's enjoy this panel.
So, clap it up. I want to apologize real quick because I'm about to ask a very fire question, but we don't have enough time to really get into it. I'm going to ask a question regardless, and I'm going to ask my panelists to answer it the best way and the briefest way, but in the best way. So, and I'm sorry for going left, but since y'all are here and we're here, people already said this. What the question is what are the common misconceptions about fashion? And I say that because there's a past legend in the world. Her name is Hawes. She talks about how being chic is something that can lead to something like murder. In just talking about the way the fashion industry itself, a lot of people are consumed of being fashionistas, wearing the hottest thing, not necessarily understanding like how, like the impacts and like what is driving like the fashion trends versus who's creating it. And then you also have Claire McCardell, whose manager, Hadi Carnegie in New York, had told her that taste is more impactful than fashion. Because I feel like a lot of times, we're all here, not everyone understands what really drives the industry, what drives the things we wear. And so I want you guys to really speak to, from your vantage point, right, in your work, what are the common misconceptions of fashion you run into, and how does your work help to break that down? Because, my goal is to get folks to understand the way fashion impacts our daily lives and the way the world actually works. So if you guys, have the chance to speak to that, anyone can.
So I think about the business of fashion as we know it today. I really think Anna Wintour has done so much to shape how we experience fashion. Prior to her coming into Vogue and really taking over in the 90s, I mean, she was there before then, but really taking over in the 90s, you had a very traditional model, which was the makers would make the clothes. Only people with a lot of money could afford tailored things. And they would do salon shows. So it'd be, if you've ever seen that movie with Kirsten Dunst about Marie Antoinette, there's like girls circling in her house, but like that's literally how it was. People would wear the clothes, you'd be like, yeah, that's gonna look great on me. Then you purchase it, somebody make it for you. Anna Wintour noticed that from a marketing standpoint, what really sells fashion is stories. And so she said, we don't need the models to tell the story. Let's just get storytellers to tell the story. And so she went and got the actors and actresses of Hollywood to become the new models. And so from a sales standpoint, it made sense. Like if you're trying to sell millions of magazines, it makes sense. But from an industry standpoint, I think it has caused a lot of disruption, because if you have people who aren't traditionally trained in fashion, so and I think I've told you this story, and I've definitely told you this story, but like I had a marketing client who had just started an athleisure brand, Black Girl, and she was like, I don't need traditional fit models because she's thinking about fashion from a marketing sense. She was like, I want the girls who wear my brand to be like me. I want them to be curvy, da da da. She got like the thickest girls she could find. They were cute. But the problem was she had not done her market research. So when she hired me, I was like, these aren't like, you're marketing sustainability, you're marketing like healthy living, like your audience is gonna be a white girl. And she's probably gonna be like in her 30s. And she probably is very environmental and sustainably minded. She was like, respectfully, I'm a girl from Philly, and this is for me and girls like me. And she sold out of the collection, and everybody who bought her stuff were white women in the places that I said, and everybody sent their every single piece back. And she was freaking out. She was like, oh my God, like, what do I do? And I was like, you needed fit models, like true fit models. The issue was that people didn't know what a small was. Like they thought the small was a small, but it was actually a medium. And so she didn't feel like she was skipping a step, but she was. And so I think what I have come to appreciate is as these mishaps have happened with my clients, it got me curious. I was like, okay, I can't just be a marketer. Like I need to pay homage to the craft. I need to sit with designers like Lane and say, okay, well, what does it take to actually put a garment together? And how long does that take? And how do you do your pricing? And where do you get the fabric from? And spending a year and a half doing that, I was like, this is a lot. It's very laborious. So I think people just don't know how much goes into their clothes. They think like, if I have to pay any more than $20, that's an atrocity. But it's like, it probably took 6 months to even build that one little shirt, you know? So I think people need to know that more.
To piggyback off your story, I think the biggest misconception I see with fashion is that people forget that it's actually a service business at the end of the day. With all the dressing of celebrities, the really super expensive high-end brands, it's become very much like vanity-driven industry. But at the core of it, it is meant to serve people in their everyday lives. Every day we wake up and wear clothing, and fashion is meant, or apparel rather, is meant to create that clothing that is, one, going to let people live their lives somewhat seamlessly through what they have to do day in and day out, and two, make sure they feel comfortable and confident while doing it. And so, piggybacking off your story, thinking about like your customer at the end of the day, who is wearing the clothing and what they really need, is a super important step to take when getting into fashion or thinking about fashion. If you really want to build something that is valuable to people and adds value to people's lives. So to me, that's the biggest misconception that is not really talked about anymore within fashion.
And I would actually follow that up to say fashion in any respect is always about service. When you dress up, you're not just dressing up to make yourself feel good, you're dressing up so that the people who see you feel good. You want to make people feel something, and that's what any art form is meant to do. And I think a lot of people forget that when it comes to fashion, because everybody who dresses up, when somebody sees how you're dressed, they make a judgment call. And that judgment call is how the world sees you until you open your mouth or until you do your work. But I think the common misconception I find with fashion is I think that people see it as an afterthought when, I don't know about you, it's the first thing I'd have to do before I walk out the door. You know what I mean? You can't walk out the door naked, unless apparently they do that in Florida sometimes, but that's something I've just been hearing about. But you have to think about what you're going to wear. Even if it's the most minute thing, you have to think about what you're going to wear before you walk out the door. You have to make that consideration. And I think that one thing that I always see, especially from guys that I work with, they always look at it as an afterthought, and they don't realize it actually that first thought every single day.
All right, thank you. Unfortunately, we have to start the band. So thank you to my panelists.